Whoops.
Hello everyone, I'm Gary Russen and welcome to a brand new edition to the GJRB family and the GJRB family of Gary Russen programs. This is the Gary Russen program, Saturday Extra. All you gotta do is go to Gary Russen on Skype, or just chat with Gary Russen on the GJRB speaker website by clicking the balloon icon on the GJRB widget. And now, the Gary Russen program, Saturday Extra. On GJRB.
And hello everyone, hello everywhere across America, and welcome to the Gary Russen program, Saturday Extra, from the GJRB Spreaker Studios just above Lion Shopping District in North Clinton. Welcome to the Gary Russen program, Saturday Extra, here on GJRB Online Live on Podbean and Spreaker. On the GJRB Online Network. We've got a great show lined up for you. Hope you'll stay with me for the afternoon of great talk radio and the next 3 hours of great stuff. And, of course, on GJRB Online on Spreaker and also on Podbean. We're doing a double podcast. We did it yesterday, the last hour of the Gary Russen program, which was absolutely fabulous. I enjoyed doing that. It was... That was fun. I enjoyed the last hour of that show. We had a great time. And matter of fact, I really want to say it was fabulous to have actually 12 people on my Podbeam stream. It was absolutely fabulous. And I got to tell you, I'm going to enjoy this to pieces. I got a lot of really good stuff coming up on this program. We're going to talk a lot about what was happening in the news this past week. Take a look at some sports scores, NFL stuff, various things. Be doing a lot of stuff, mostly like reading off my phone, off my smartphone, because that's the best way to do that now, because it seems like if I go on the internet, on other pages on here, what happens is that it makes me sound like I'm underwater. It makes it sound like a really awful CD in playback. So I am if I'm going to read anything, I'm going to read it either off my little cell phone here, or I'm going to read it off of my tablet. Either or. So that's how I'm going to do that today. We'll do weather on the 5s, 25 and 55 past the hour. We'll have Weather Nation on the air coming up 25 after or so. And just a lot of good times. So I hope you'll stay with me. I hope everybody will stick around. We had, like I said, a great board full yesterday. 2 on my Spreaker. And about 12 on my Podbean, which made it actually 14 altogether yesterday during our first Podbean hour-long experimental broadcast with Spreaker yesterday. So I had quite a bit of people on board, and it was fabulous. And I gotta say, I'm gonna like this Podbean, but I woke up this morning, having a little bit of doubt about it. I still like the Podbean, but I noticed that there's still some slight limitations. I can only broadcast maybe, I think after this show is over, I think I'll have expired the space I have on my Podbean. So I'm going to have to do is make sure I download everything and then delete so that I have more room to do other programs on here. I absolutely love doing this, though. It's incredibly fun. Once again, I want to thank my friend for that today, yesterday. BJ McNamara, otherwise known as Black Dragons Radio. He's on here too as well, here on Podbean. And he has a show on Spreaker as well. And we're going to be doing something different in the way we do this show. We're not only going to do I'm going to call it the Spreaker's first because I've been on Spreaker the longest. I'm going to be on, on here, it's the longest. And try to see this right. It'll be called the Spreaker Podbean, Spreaker Podbean podcast shoutouts and promotions, which usually I do in the final hour of my program. I usually do that in the final hour of my program. And I know I'm a repeater, and I'm trying to work on that. So be patient with me. I have a tendency to still do that. And, I'm glad that we have pretty good community on here from what I've seen. The only problem I think I'm having right now with Podbean is that they take forever. I'm having trouble. I was having trouble yesterday when I got off the air trying to find my recording. And it takes quite a while for them to process the recording and be sure it's up. And I'm having fun trying to catch my live podcast on here and seeing, what is on the air and what we got here as far as, podcast. Now, I see right here. I'm looking at it. Now, this is cool. It shows the live signal, and it shows the little waves, and it shows that I'm on the air live on Podbean. So this is absolutely incredible. It shows me live right now. So I downloaded the Podbean app onto my tablet, and I could see my live signal there. So I am on live. But as far as seeing whether or not I can catch it, because I had to literally I had to follow myself. Yeah, I had to follow myself in order to get it, and interesting that I would pick that up, and there it is. There's the live stream right there, but it doesn't stay in. I don't understand that. Show me that one. I don't know. It's just, I whether or not I can, catch it live is another story on itself, because it doesn't stay in. It has under a technology. Why does it have me under a technology? This is not a technology program. This is more or less just a talk show about news and what's going on. It has nothing to do with technology, in a greater sense. We got some. Let's see. What does it say there? We have somebody in there. Somebody entered in. So we got some entry. That's what's kind of cool about this too. It tells you who's entering into the console, into this live studio. It shows you who's listening to me too, which I like that. Yesterday we had I had added some really some fine people on here already. Which I think is absolutely incredible. I'm looking at some of them that are already live. We got one already alive. And some of the people that joined me was what you guys called Live and Direct yesterday. And it was fabulous. And I just have to learn how this Podbean works, because I am still like having a little bit of problems with it. But I have a friend of mine who is a genius. Well, I'm going to say he's a genius with computers, but he's good with them. Let's put it that way. And I think he can help me better understand the computer as far as that's concerned, as to what's what and everything. So we'll get to that today. Meanwhile, I am my tablet went out again, so that figures. So I kind of like the idea. I'm kind of going to my phone for a lot of stuff here, and that's what I'm doing right now. I'm on my phone, and I'm checking out my phone, because it's more reliable as to what I can find on my social media for news and stuff. So why don't we what do you think lately about the President Trump's hearing going on, the impeachment inquiry? Seems to me that's getting it's starting to get old already after it just started. It's like 2 days worth of testimony. And you have to wonder if this is just a big media circus. Because, why is it that we're going through this, and it's on all channels, and we're stuck with this, shoved down our throat? And, why is it that we have this garbage constantly at it? It's just ridiculous. And I don't know. I just wish that they could take that someplace else, quite frankly. I'm going through my scroll through social media, and I do have a segment here called Scroll Through Social Media. Another thing I think I have that I'm going to have a problem with this Podbean is that I can't load some of my stuff from the computer onto the player. And I've got some really good music on here. So what I'm doing right now is I was testing it out today. Unfortunately, I could not hear back whether or not, but I'm thinking that everything that plays on here, anything that plays, I'm talking in my microphone on here, right? So I'm thinking in this case that I can run all my local see, I produced for Spreaker, when I've been on Spreaker since 2012, and since then I've written and produced my own 30-second promos, my 30-second spots. I do that. I produce my own spots. I got a lot of my own commercials that I've worked hard on producing. I've written a lot, really good stuff. And basically, I like to play them on here. So I have a little voice recorder, one of those ICR voice recorders, and I have it plugged into the board so that I can play my promos at the half-hour mark. So when I do this show on here on Podbean, I'm doing a straight 2 hours, every 30 minutes, at the bottom of the hour, I do a hard break, kind of like radio stations do at talk shows. I play a hard break, maybe maximum 3 to 4 minutes, and then I come back. Okay, so I'll play a hard break through the board, through my voice recorder, which I have plugged in the console, and I'll play a hard break at the bottom of the hour. And I do that so that I can, take a voice break. I have sandwich here I like to eat while I'm, talking. But you just got to take a hard break and take a bite of my sandwich, take a little snack, and then I like to play some music. And I'm trying to figure out, what I'm going to have to do basically is to go ahead and play some of the music that's on here. And let's see. Okay. And what I'll have to do is play some music on here sometimes to just take a break. But I like to play some of my own music. Now, yes, I do on Spreaker play a lot of popular songs, which probably are copyright infringement, which probably is. But I claim to not own the rights to the songs I play on my Spreaker side. But here's the deal. As I've said before, this is social media. And Facebook, if you're on Facebook, if you're a Facebook follower, and some of you might not be here, but you're welcome to join me on Facebook. I am Gary John Russen. When you get on the Facebook page, just look for that. Give me a friend request. Tell me that you're listening to me on Podbean, because I get a lot of friend requests from people I don't even know. Some of these are pretty darn hot females, okay? But here's the deal. Like I said before, on many occasions, I don't accept friend requests from people I don't know. So you're going to have to let me know that you listen to me on the radio, either on Spreaker or on Podbean, okay? If you don't, I am not going to accept your friend request. Basically because I don't accept friend requests from people I don't know. Because you never know if there is going to be with it some kind of virus or something. I'm not saying everybody's going to do that, but here's this. It's a matter of being safe. So when I'm doing a national program like this, you never know who's listening. People who are not so nice. People that might not think the way I do. And some people that could even be threatening. So I'm very, very, very careful about who I friend on Facebook at this point. So that is the reason why I say that. But tablet doesn't work, so this is a nice Nextbooks tablet, but it's had its day. And it doesn't stay on all the time if it's off the power cord. And when it's in the power cord and I plug it into the board, it makes an god-awful sound. I don't know what it is, but it's terrible. I've heard this sound before, and sometimes you hear voices in it. And I remember one time I listened to this show called Spaced Out Radio, and if anybody knows what that is, it comes out of British Columbia. It's on Spreaker. It's on a lot of social sites, including it's on a lot of places like TuneIn. And he does a good show, and he talks about UFOs and space aliens and paranormal and stuff like that. And I got a show like that here on Spreaker, and it's called Way Out There. And I usually do it about the third Friday of the month. And I'm going to do a Way Out There right here on Podbean. And if there's anybody out there that would like to be on Way Out There and just do an open show. But now, here's the problem with Podbean once again. This doesn't open up. I don't think any way that this mic opens up so that I can go into the computer, let's say, and open up my stereo mix so that I could play things off the computer. So I don't think I can do a phone. I have Skype, which I use quite often. And I can't really use Skype on this. So I see that you can get guest and call-ins, but I still haven't read entirely all the instructions on the Podbean site about how one can take phone calls on here. Now, it would be great because I could probably pick that up on my Spreaker, because my Spreaker is set to stereo mix, which means that everything on the computer will pick up on the Spreaker side. But Podbean, being you guys the way you are, you'd only pick up what comes in over the microphone system. So I quite frankly don't know whether or not this will work. Now, I could try it, and that would be plugging the computer into my console, my out console, the physical console, the one I use for the microphone here. And but I don't know if it'll cause a humongous feedback coming through the system. I mean, it probably could. Now, well, probably do in a situation like that. There's going to be some shows that I'm going to do on Spreaker and Podbean simulcast, and there might be some shows I'll just do on Podbean. Just shows right here, just exclusive Podbean. And then I'll upload on Spreaker later on as a recorded podcast, which I might do. I'm going to, I still haven't figured it out yet. I'm working on it. I know that they got templates on here for a website thing, and I'm still trying to figure that thing out. I haven't really got that one down yet, but I'm working on that right now. No news today pretty much on the main Facebook page, so I'm going to just pick some of the stories I was talking about yesterday, and a few I just didn't touch on or missed yesterday. One of them, I believe, is the one I was talking about out of my sports yesterday, and I remember when I got off the air yesterday, and I had totally forgot about this story, and we're going to have that coming up in the next half hour. And it's a story about, let's see what I got here. Let me see. I'm going to take a look at all. Oh, no, that's not what I want. Let me see here. I'm going to go back into my saved. I'm going to pop it back into my saved, and it keeps on bumping back in there. Okay, I'm going to go into my saved on my Facebook. And then it's a story about a Steeler game this past week in which one of the football players took their helmet and hit one of the Pittsburgh Steelers, I believe. And we're going to talk about this next half hour. And then we're going to do what I call a scroll through social media. Now, a scroll through social media means that, and I could play it for you. I have the thing on there, but like I said, I have to play it through the board, and I don't have the capabilities of doing that just yet. I'm working on it. But with my tablet dying constantly, I'm going to have to see if I can put Spreaker on my cell phone so that I can. It's more dependable and it doesn't die. So I might just take off Spreaker off the tablet and put it on as well as my Podbean. So it's just possible this could all change, but it's in the future. All right, meanwhile, back at the jungle, what I'm going to do, and I don't know if this is going to cause bumpiness on my Spreaker part, so I'm going to go into my, into my history. Let's see, I'm going to go into my bookmarks, and see if I can just get the National Weather Service and take a look at the weather forecast, and we'll do weather on the 5s. I have a new weather on the 5s opening, by the way, but I have to get it up. I don't have it up yet. Currently, right now, here in Clinton, Iowa, it's sunny and 41 degrees. Here in Clinton, Iowa, right now, sunny 41 degrees. And let's take a look at the weather conditions right now. Take a look at some of the current conditions. Let's see if they have it here. This is a different page than what I'm used to, as far as that's concerned. So I might just... Okay, so be patient with me. If I sound like I'm drowning underwater or gargling, it's because every once in a while this has the tendency that if I go on the internet on here, it will... it'll mess up my voice. It'll sound really goofy. Sound like a real bad CD. And it happens when I'm on here. So I'm going to try something. I'm going to take this off as an individual page and see if that will make a difference. If I take that off and make an individual page, then I could probably go ahead and go into my Weather Nation. Let's see here. Okay, let me see. My Weather Underground. So I'm going to go into my Weather Underground where I usually get my weather forecast. It's currently 39 degrees here in Clinton, Iowa right now. And I'm going to go there. I'm going to also pull up my National Weather Service site that I use for the weather. So weather on the 5s right now. Here on GJRB Online, Gary J with you. This is the Gary Russen program, Saturday Extra, Freestyle Edition. As we do always on a Saturday show, it's just a wrap-up of all the week's events. Normally, on Saturdays, I do a show. I usually watch the Iowa Hawkeyes football team. I like the Hawkeyes. I'm a Hawkeye fan. But I wanted to do a show today because I had promised a lot of people on Spreaker that I'd do a show today. So I decided to do a show today. Right now, current temperature here in Clinton, Iowa is 40 degrees. Feels like 34. And we have a relative humidity at 70%. Winds at east-southeast at 10 miles per hour. We have a dew point of 31 degrees. We have barometric pressure at 30.26 inches of mercury and dropping. Current temperature right now in Clinton, once again, 40 degrees. We expect tonight's low to be 28 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. 38 degrees tomorrow with a chance of rain snow mix, 40% chance, and a high of 38. Then Sunday night, 26 degrees for our current temperature will be expected for tomorrow night with a partly cloudy skies. Monday, 39 degrees and partly cloudy. And Monday night, we have a chance of rain, snow mix again with a low of 29 degrees here in Clinton. Looking at our Clinton radar at this hour, clear all the way through Davenport, clear all the way through to Cedar Rapids. It's a beautiful day today. And we'll do a look at our national weather front coming up a little later on. And I give you our national weather. Weather on the 5s, 25 and 55 past the hour and all. 25 and 55 talk shows, 25, 45 music shows, or any time in the hour that ends in 5. 5, 15, 25, 35, 45, or 55 past the hour on the Gary Russen program here on GJRB Online. Thanks a lot for listening. I hope you're enjoying the show. We're going to have a good time. Hope you'll stay with me, and we're going to take a little break and be right back with more of the Gary Russen program. This is the Saturday Extra on GJRB LPFM. We're on our 9-foot signal here in Clinton. That's our 9-foot signal. It's really called Spreaker. It's named after my Spreaker. It's on 88.9. It's a closed-circuit FM signal, which covers just the vicinity where I broadcast on 88.9 megahertz FM. And, of course, here on Podbean and on Spreaker. I'll be right back. Stay tuned. More of the Gary Russen program, Saturday Extra. terrorism, economic collapse, wars, pandemics, Israel. When they say peace, then cometh sudden destruction. Volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, signs in the heavens. Keep up with world news and events you hear on GJRB's News on the Hour. Go to End Time Headlines at www.endtimeheadlines.org. With a lot of chaos happening, keep in touch with End Time Headlines and GJRB.
Whether it's baseball, basketball, hockey, even bowling, it's covered on Gary J's sports page. I'll talk about what's going on in the world of sports all over the USA. We'll read you interesting articles about the players and even keep up with the scores of the games going on live. I'll even have guests from time to time and just talk sports. Better than any newspaper page, it comes alive. Gary J's sports page. Join me for sports page at a brand new time, alternating Saturdays at noon on GJRB.
Imagine one day tuning around on your internet radio only to find a station playing old radio programs complete with commercials and thinking, what am I tuning into? The past? You might be, or it's just GJRB Online and Radio Land. A day of nothing but classic radio shows back to back with classic commercials in between. Like the days of radio. Almost like your computer is picking up signals through time. Closer than you'll ever get to time travel. Radio Land.
Recently, the owner of Facebook had to face Congress over personal information on Facebook users. In addition, users were saying that their postings were being deleted. Getting sick and tired of your censorship and your data being used without your permission? Do something about it now. Come to MeWe, the internet social site that values your freedom. No more deleted postings. Make a step to freedom. Sign up today. It's easy. Go to www.MeWe.com. That's MEWE. MeWe, the internet's free speech social site.
Oh yeah. It's a guy we have here, our friend of mine who's a Spreaker. His name is Wayne Whiteside. And it's called Slow and Easy. Great blues type guitar stuff. Pretty awesome in it. Gary J. Russen with you here on GJRB Online, on Podbean across America, and on Spreaker, and on Spreaker FM, KSPR, 9-foot closed circuit, the FM signal covering our North End studios here. And we have someone named, let's see if it's pronounced, it's Hursg, Hersgen, is that how to spell it? Entered the studio. Somebody entered the studio. We have two people listening. Black Dragons Radio's here, too. All right. And someone named Flash. So welcome aboard. Thank you for listening to the Gary Russen program on Podbean. I used to say that. And so a lot of you people who have are first listening to me here, including Flash, what do you think of some of the... Those are some of the promos I produced and written and recorded. I have like a whole mess of them, a lot of the programs that I play here on GJRB Online, plus some commercials and PSAs that I've written and produced. And I use those for my breaks. And I like that idea because it's kind of like real radio to me. And I love doing radio. I wanted to do radio since I was at least 8 years old. And I told this story many, many a times. It goes way, way back to, I'm from Pittsburgh. And I grew up in Pittsburgh, in the Pittsburgh area. And we had a station there called KQV. It was the top 40 station. They just went off the air a couple years ago. And it's sad because this was a radio, this is an outstanding radio station. In that their studios had showcase windows along Smithfield Street in downtown Pittsburgh. Yeah, it was on the corner where they used to call Walk and Don't Walk. There are studios you could look in. You could stand on the sidewalk and look into the DJ booth and watch the DJ do his show. And ever since then, I remember the first time I did that, it was real exciting because I said, I said to my mother, I want to do this. I want to be a DJ. I want to be on the radio. I want to do this stuff. And of course, she never really fell for that. He's one of these people who thought that radio wasn't a job. It was too fun to be a job or something. And I think that what happened was I got kind of thrown around because everybody thought it wasn't good enough for it, and I was sent to all these places, and you can't do this because you're not, And I've said this many times before. This is why I feel for another friend of mine who's on Spreaker. His name is Bob Huber Experience. For a lot of people who listen to me on Spreaker will know who I'm talking about. And he, another one, they said he couldn't do this. And he proved them wrong, which is absolutely fabulous. And, this is the truth. It would prove, you got to prove some people wrong because, sometimes people think that they know better than you when we know that they're no expert. And so, whether the case may be, it's just fun to do this kind of stuff. By the way, this show is also going to be heard on not just Podbean, also available on Google Podcast, and also available on Spotify. I'm also on Spotify through Spreaker, and it's fabulous. Another one, oh yeah, here, look at this, Red String. Welcome, and thank you for listening to the Gary Russen program, Saturday Extra. And we're kind of reminiscing a little bit this hour, talking a lot about some of the things I used to do when I was a kid, the inspiration I had to do radio, and that's what I was talking about. And at the same time, what I thought we'd just do real quickly is see, it's kind of a dead news day. It usually is on a Saturday. Not very much going on in news, but we're kind of talking a lot about different other things today. Kind of break away from the news because, you can turn on the news on TV, you get 24/7 of this garbage, and it gets old real fast. You know what I'm saying? So, just one of those things that... So anyhow, so we're going to kind of have a little bit of fun and along the way too, and give you the top 10 hits from this week, November 16th, 1988, coming up too. So stay tuned for that. The top 10 hits from this week in 1988. Stay tuned. That brings back memories because about that time I was married to my first wife, and some of these songs were out when I was in Chicago, and we're going to bring back some memories with some of these songs later on here on GJRB. Gary J. Russen with you here on Spreaker and Podbean, the Gary Russen program, Saturday Extra. You're welcome to be aboard on it. And I don't know how the guest and call-ins work on here yet, but if you could give me an idea by calling me on here, that would be kind of cool. Otherwise, you can contact me by... if you listeners on Spreaker will hear me, but you probably won't hear me going through unless I try to plug this into the board. But you can contact me through my Facebook. You can call me on that through even my phone because I have my Facebook up. Messenger. I've never tried doing it that way. You can also contact me by getting into my Facebook. I'll go to my Facebook page right now, and I'll pop that Facebook in there. And you can contact me that way, or you can contact me by getting into my Spreaker chat room and get in that. I'm also on Twitter. I'm the Radio Maniac. on Twitter. I don't think I signed in before I came on the air here on Podbean, so I know that I could probably do my Podbean on there as well. Not sure you could hear the Podbean podcast on here live on Twitter, but I can share it. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to share via Podbean so that we can get some people out there who might want to listen to the show. And you're welcome to be in on it, and we can talk about all kinds of stuff. It's a Saturday show. It's a Saturday free-for-all, but we're talking the news that went on during this week. And coming up, we'll talk about that story that has been in the news about this football player who I think bashed one of our players in the head with a football helmet. And so this is that's just sad when you got that kind of situation going on in football. So the poor sports that you got in football at this point that are doing this. So that's the way it is, I guess. Just gets some people there that do this kind of stuff. So we'll talk about that today. And you're welcome to join in on the program. Like I said before, I'm just posting on all the social sites right now. I am on Podbean, and you can check out the program. I'm also going to share this on my other sites as well, including MeWe, which I kind of post there too, and see if we can get some audience here on a slow Saturday afternoon. And you're welcome to, like I said, join in the program. And I'm always glad we get people on here. Yesterday we had Ed Delgado on here, and my friend Black Dragons Radio joined us yesterday. And like I said, I'm still trying to figure out this Podbean. I love it though, and the fact that people are actually listening, and that Podbean tells you who's listening. I like that feature. Only wish that maybe Spreaker could do that. There's a lot of things that Podbean does I wish Spreaker would do, including the fact that I can also be talking to you straight 2 hours right here. I mean, it's absolutely incredible where I can do this. It's fabulous. And we'll have the Clinton weather forecast coming up again in the last hour. Also in the final hour, we'll do our Spreaker podcast. We didn't do it yesterday because I was trying to figure this thing out on the air, which wasn't probably a good idea. But I did anyway. And I'm going to probably do some other stuff today. Saturday, slow day. I'm going to do some other stuff today, including some college football, do an NFL preview, talk about what's going on in football, do that. Because I think that the NFL is an interesting talk about, especially if you're some football fans. See what games are playing tomorrow and stuff. So we'll do a preview of that. I'm thinking about doing my sports page here on Podbean as well, because it'd be great to get some reaction on some of the games and stuff. So I'm going to get my sports smarts going, and we'll do a sports page here on Podbean. It'd be kind of fabulous, especially now. And we're running out of time on my Spreaker side, so we're going to remind you that you're listening to the Gary Russen program on GJRB Online on Spreaker. We'll be right back.